All right. This is going to be about how to make your first six-figure income. All right. Now, six figures. Plus, plus, plus. All right. And the reason why I talk about six figures, because six figures is a crucial stepping stone in your life. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, how do you hit that six figures? How do you hit that six figures? Now, I'm focused on the seven figures right now, okay? But I remember when I first started to focus on my financial game plan, on my financial future, I was 18, 19 years old, okay? Now, at 18, 19 years old, I was not making a lot of money. I was making between 10 to 15 grand a year. Okay? 10 to 15 grand a year. Now, living with your mom, living with your family, making 10 to 15 grand a year is an okay amount of money, I guess, for an 18-year-old. Okay? But at that age, I already knew that if I don't start changing some things, I don't want to stay there forever. Nobody wants to stay at 10, 15 grand a year. All right? That's scary. But I was going to college full-time. Don't know why I did that. Okay? I'm going to talk about it another time. I'm not saying education is bad. I'm just saying, listen, if you go to school, you go there to learn. You don't go there to make money. School does not teach you how to make money. And if you think that's the case, look at thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon millions of people that go get their education and they can't find a job. Or they do get a job and guess what? They're still financially struggling. Because going to school does not teach you, the teachers over there are not going to teach you how to become successfully financially stable. They're not going to teach you freedom. They're going to teach you how to get a job and work for somebody else. Now I'm not saying working for somebody else is a bad thing. Because you can make a lot of money working for somebody else. But when you want financial freedom, you need to be an entrepreneur. I didn't vote Republican. I didn't vote Democrat yesterday. You know what I voted for? Entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. You know, everyone knows my political beliefs. But let's talk about six figures. So at 18, 19 years old, making 10 to 15 grand a year. I wasn't making a lot of money. I wasn't smart financially. I just knew one thing. The one thing I need to focus on is to increase my income. Because expenses are always going to be there. I knew I was going to move out of my mom's place. I knew it for a fact. I knew I'm going to get married one day, have children, have a place to sleep in, have food that needs to be put on the table. I knew these things had to happen. So one thing I needed to do was focus on increasing my income. So what I recommend everybody to do is to pay very close attention to. First, you need to understand how to make money. All right, there's three things you need to focus on. How to make it, right, which is getting your money. How to keep it. And then how to multiply it. Okay? You need to learn how to make the money first, keep the money, and then multiply it. A lot of people right now in America, okay? A lot of people in America right now, they do not know how to make money. They have no idea. No clue. No idea. They're making 50 grand a year and they still don't know why they're just not making it. People making 200 grand a year, they don't keep it. And a very small percentage actually multiply. Very, very small percentage. Because it's not about just making a lot of money. You got to learn how to keep the money and then multiply that money. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Now, all I know how I did it was through sales. Now, if you don't believe me, then you might as well read the book by Grant Cardone, Sell or Be Sold. And he talks about how everything you do in life is a sale. If you guys are married out there, that was a tough sale right there for you. Trust me, it's a tough sale. You got to convince your spouse, before she becomes a spouse, that you are the best thing since sliced bread, that she wants you, that she needs you, that without you, she is nothing. Vice versa. And that's a sale, all right? When you get an apartment, you need to convince the landlord to let you live there. That's a sale. Everything you do is a sale, whether you like it or not, okay? Everything we do, we are closing all the time. Hence the fact some of my socks sometimes says sell or be sold, because you're selling or someone's selling you, all right? Now, there's nothing wrong with being sold. Hey, listen, I would love to be sold on some nice pair of shoes right now. I would love to be sold right now on a nice pair of blazers, nice pair of suit, nice pair of anything. Why? Because I want to buy stuff too. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being sold. The problem is if you don't know how to sell, you will always be sold and you'll never take control of your life. All right? So you need to understand that 18, 19 years old, making 10 to 15 grand a year, I knew that something had to change. Now, if those of you that don't read the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, let me get the book, as a matter of fact, to show you. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Give me 1 second. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Where is it? I got so many books here. Is it here? I think I lent it to somebody. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Alright, I have to find it. I'll post it another time. But anyway, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is still here? Alright, anyway. Oh, there it is. I gave the other copy to somebody else. So this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, changed my life. Okay? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rick Kiyosaki. He talks about there's 4 ways to make money. Okay? He talks about the E quadrant, the S quadrant, the B quadrant, and the I quadrant. Okay? Now, in the E quadrant, that's the E. That stands for employee. As an employee, you can make a lot of money. I know some CEOs make a lot of money. I know some very successful employees make a lot of money. Talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of them make millions. The problem is, you're giving your God-given thing, which is called time. And you have only 24 hours in a day. And that's it. That's only 24 hours in a day. You don't have 40 hours in a day. At the end of the day, if you get paid $50 an hour, $100 an hour, $1,000 an hour, it doesn't matter. The point is you're limited on time. Because you got to eat, you got to sleep, you got to go to the bathroom, you got other responsibilities to take care of. You can work 24/7. Okay? It's really difficult. Now, as an employee, the thing you're doing most is taking your dollar, I mean your time, getting it for an unamassed dollar bill. Okay? That's a problem right there. Because at the end of the day, there's no duplication. But that's where I started. I was working, in the mall for a guy named Itai. I was watching. Love that guy. He mentored me how to actually sell toothpaste that was worth like $2 for $40 to customers. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Listen, business 101. You buy something for $2, you sell it for $20. That's business. But he taught me how to close deals and how to show value in the product or value in the service to be able to close the deals. And I learned a lot from that guy. Okay? Now, I was an employee making $10,000 to $50,000 a year, but guess what? I changed my mindset and I said, you know what? I can't do this forever, man. I'm never going to make it. Even if I worked for another job making 70 grand a year, I still knew I couldn't make because I knew I wanted to make a lot of money. So what I did was I actually started my own little thing working in the Diamond District as a hawk. Alright? It wasn't a fun place to work in. I didn't love it. I just did it because I learned a lot from it. I used to, deal with different diamond dealers, gold, diamonds, we buy, all that crazy stuff, okay? For those that don't know, if you ever go to 47th Street and those annoying people that try to, tell you you're buying or you're selling, that wasn't me, okay? But I learned a lot from that endeavor. As a small business owner or a salesperson or a specialist, you can make a lot of money too. The only problem is you're still what? Trading 24 hours. There's only 24 hours in a day. You're trading time for money. And I made a lot of money there. Okay? For a 21, 22-year-old, making a good 50 to 70 grand a year cash. Okay? Hope the IRS isn't chasing me. That was Gucci. That was Gucci for me. I was going to college. Actually, I wasn't going to college at that time. I was actually running my other business. Okay? Which we'll talk about in another minute. But I was making a good revenue stream in the daytime. Still living with my family. Okay? So I was starting to focus on, all right, now I hit the 50 mark. Now what am I going to do? I need to get the 100 mark. That was my goal. I was focused. I was obsessed with this 100K. Okay? Now, that 100K was my focus. I didn't care about nothing else. And when I hit 23 years old, I said to myself, all right, I need to get the 100. I started to get serious about at 23 years old, I started to get serious about the 100K. And that's when I started to go 10x. I 10x my efforts and I focused for a good year. Okay? And at 19 years old, I did start my business, my online business, which is the big business quadrant. Okay? And I knew that was a great vehicle for me to get from point A to point B, but I still needed some income in the daytime to survive. Okay? So what I recommend everyone to do is get involved in any sort of multi-level marketing company. You have to. Okay? I don't care if it's Amway, Avon, Herbalife, I don't care which one it is. You need to get involved in a multi-level marketing company, and that's in the B quadrant. Okay? Another thing that's considered a big business is a company you start from the bottom and you build to a huge company like Apple, Microsoft, Dell, all these big companies. All right? The good thing about this is that this is the rich side. Okay? This is the poor side. The good thing about this is that you duplicate your efforts. You duplicate your efforts. While I was building someone else's company, I was building my future as well at the same time. While I was working in the sales position, working commission, right? In the cable industry, in the diamond district, what was I doing? I was still building my business here, right? The other thing, another thing that's considered a big business is maybe a franchising business. The guy that started McDonald's, Ray Kroc, back in 1950s, has been dead for over 30 years. And he makes more money than everybody combined on Facebook right now. He's dead and makes more money than anybody right now in Queens. It's crazy. He'd be a multi-billionaire right now if he was alive. Okay, but his family keeps all that money. Think of it this way. There's 30,000 locations of McDonald's out there. If he only made $1 a day from one location, he just made 30 grand a day. That's only if he made $1 a day. You can imagine how much money is out there. So what he did, he said, listen, I'd rather take 100 people and get 1% of 100 people than get 100% of my own efforts. That's the problem with the S quadrant. As a small business owner, you don't own the business owns you. If you own a pharmacy, if you're a specialist, if you're a doctor or a lawyer and you own that practice, the business consumes you. That's the problem. See, in a big business, you duplicate yourself. While I'm talking to you guys right now, I'm making money right now with my second company, with my first company. Why? Because I said I need to get out of here. But what I said to myself was, first, what you need to focus on is to work your hardest in your occupation right now, whether you're an occupational therapist, whether you're a pharmacist, whether you're a salesperson, whether you work in a jewelry store, whether you work in a retail store, work your ass off as much as you can to make as much money as you can from that occupation and open up something on the side. Get involved with a network marketing company. Do something on the side that's in this quadrant. Okay? Now, you can also jump to this quadrant as well and do something like in sales, part-time. Why do I recommend that? Because sales will teach you how to deal with people. Sales will teach you how to communicate with people. Sales will teach you how to go through rejection. A lot of people out there are afraid of getting rejected. I get rejected every single day. The more rejection I get when it comes to consumers, girls, anything, the more rejection I get, the stronger I get. And they're not rejecting me personally. They're telling me, well, this is not for them, and it's fine. Not everything you have will be available, and not everything you have is what someone else wants. But remember, as a salesperson, you will learn a lot, trust me, especially if you want to open up your own business. So, what I recommend is you stay in your E quadrant. If you're a small business owner, stay there. But do something on the side to what? To increase that income. The problem most people have is they don't make money. They don't make enough money. They're not making enough. They don't have income coming in. The most important thing on a balance sheet, right, on your financial statements is what? The 2-3 inches. That's the income, that's the revenue. All the other shit is nonsense. Why? Because you need to focus on income. That's why my company, there's 3 things that I focus on. Revenue, recruiting, and sales. Revenue, recruiting, and sales. That's it. Sales training. That's all I focus on. I don't focus on all the other crazy stuff. Why? Because I know if I focus on the revenue, if I focus on training these guys, right? I focus on recruiting more people to my company. Guess what? My company will grow. So you start thinking about that step by step. So at 23 years old, I was making about 50, 60 grand a year. I don't remember exactly, but let's say 50, right? And I said, I need to get that 100K. I really need to focus on that. Now, everybody called me crazy. They called me cheap. They called me, why are you not spending money? Why are you not buying, an apartment? Why don't you get this? Why don't you get that? Why don't you buy a new car? Why don't you do that? I said, listen, I'm focused on 100K. My first goal was to make 100K income. Keep 100K. And then start my business. So I don't recommend anybody to start a huge business if you can't even focus on creating income for yourself. How do you think your company is going to go if you can't even make your own? You are a company, you.com. If you don't increase your revenue by yourself, if you can't make 100K with your business right here, because you are a business, you are an entity. If you can't create 100K, how do you think your business is going to create 100K? You need to focus on building you. Start reading some books, grow, learn from people, get a mentor, learn from somebody, and get that 100K yourself. And then number 2, learn how to keep 100K. A lot of people make a lot of money, but how much do you keep at the end of the day? Now I understand there's taxes, because guess what? In the employee quadrant, you're getting rate by 40%. In the small business owner quadrant, you're getting rate by 60%. That's how much taxes they take away with all the nonsense. As a big business owner, guess how much I pay in taxes? 20%. And when you start investing, which is real estate investing, stocks, bonds, having money work for you, you're paying about 0%. That's why everyone's going against Donald Trump, because he doesn't pay a lot of taxes. Well, he's a smart businessman. Now, there's going to be some days when you have to pay a little bit, around somewhere between 10 and 50%. But why the rich keep getting rich and the poor keep getting poor? Because the poor people are on the wrong side of the equation. So what you need to focus on is saying, okay, I'm an employee right now. I'm making 20 grand a year. I'm making 50 grand a year. I'm making 70 grand a year. I'm making 100 grand a year, whatever you're making, right? And focus on how do I get to this side of the equation. And Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about that in his book, okay? I highly recommend that book because that book changed my life. Changed my life completely. I started to focus on the right stuff. Now, guess what? Once you have that 100K, okay, we're going to talk about how to get there. Once you have that 100K, you need to learn how to keep it. Your first goal is to make that 100K, and your second goal is to what? Keep it. Get 100K in the bank. Then you start worrying about multiplying it. Some of you guys want to get the real estate investment, you never made over 50 grand a year. That's crazy. My opinion once again. All right? I didn't have a rich dad or a rich mother or any rich uncle, anybody like that to give me money. I started from the bottom. I had to learn from people. 19 years old, making 10 grand a year. It's not a lot of money. But guess what? At 24 years old, I had my first 6 figures. Not going to say how much, but it was a strong 6 figure. Okay? But I was excited about getting that 6 figure because I was so focused. I was determined to get that 100K. Now I'm going to talk about how to get the 100K in a second. A lot of you guys don't know how to make the 100Ks because you're not focused on making it. Okay? I want to give you that little background so you can start focusing on what? Learning how to get that 100K. Right? So for example, if you work in sales and you know it takes a certain amount of sales to make a certain amount of commission, right? Let's give you an example. Let's say every sale you make is $100. Every sale you make is $100. A lot of you guys have no clue, number one, how much money you guys are making that week. You have no idea. You just see a paycheck. You don't even know where it came from. And you don't do the math. You got to do the math. You got to understand, okay, if I get $100 per sale, $100 per sale, right? How many sales do I need to make to get the 100K that year? Well, you got to do the math, right? So 100K divided by 50 weeks. And the reason why I say 50 weeks is because 2 weeks for a vacation or something happened. And those 2 weeks is stuff. Days that you're not producing, whatever. So out of the 50 producing weeks out of the year, that means you need to make $2,000 a week. Okay? $2,000 a week. Now it's more obtainable. You're like, okay, $2,000 a week. How do I make $2,000 a week? Well, if every single sale you make is $100 as an example, you divide the math. You do the math. Okay? If you have $100 per sale, 20 sales a week will equal to $2,000 a week. So you need 20 sales. So what I used to do when I used to work in Verizon Files, right? It's a door knock in the cable industry. I knew that in order for you to make $2,000, I needed to make at least 10 to 12 sales a week. So when I needed to make that 10 to 12 sales a week, I broke it down into days and I broke it down into hours. So if you need to make 20 sales in a week, that means, and you're working, let's say, 5 days a week, that means you need to make how many sales? How many sales you need to make? 4 sales a day. 4 sales daily. Now, how long will it take you to get a sale? I don't know in your industry, but you got to break it down. Break it down by the hour, which means you need to make 1 sale every 2 hours. And that's what I focused on. I focused on the hours, then I focused on the day, then I focused on the week, then I focused on what? The whole year. And then when I did it, I was like, wow. I was shocked because I did the work. I broke the math. A lot of you guys look at it as a big goal. It's not that big, man. 100K a year is not a lot. But remember, if you're not in sales, you got to figure out what you want and what occupation you're in. If you're getting a straight salary, you may not be able to do that. So you may need to start looking at different options, different vehicles that can help you do that. Maybe work part-time in a sales something. Sell something. What I recommend, network marketing company. Network marketing. Look for someone that you believe in that can coach you and guide you, okay? And do the math. A lot of people are not doing the math and then wonder why they don't get 100K. You have no idea. If you don't do the math right now, I promise you, it's gonna hurt later on. The pain of discipline is better than the pain of regret. Okay? So focus on that 100K. Now remember, taxes, all that stuff comes into play. I get it. But if you're in a quadrant, speak to your local accountant about working a 1099 job so you can actually start using some of those deductions for a small business owner. Start thinking about what is it that you need to do to increase your income. Focus on what you're good at. If you're not good at sales, get a book, read it, study, grow, learn. 100K a year is not a myth. Okay? It's not a myth. I just want to give you a little snapshot of how it's done. And remember, 25 years old, right? I'm 25 right now. My goal by next year is to hit that 6 figures. Why? Because now I'm doing the math to get to 7 figures. It's not that difficult. All I got to do is do the math. Now I have a plan of action. Now I need to go execute. And that's it. And listen, if you're in an E quadrant, don't try to jump into the I quadrant right away. I would recommend jumping into the S a little bit, getting yourself wet. Okay, so if you do fail, you don't hit the ground hard, and then jump into a network marketing company. I highly recommend that. It's the biggest thing that changed my life. You will learn how to deal with people. You'll learn how to talk to people. You'll learn everything you need to do when it comes to owning a business. You will learn through a network marketing business because they're going to teach you all the basic steps. Okay. Now, one more thing. For those of you that are not in sales, very important. Very important. If you're not working a straight commission job, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Straight commission will put your back against the wall to go perform for your family. And what you guys will realize that you're already working straight commission. If you're getting a salary, you're getting straight commission. They just gave you 50 grand for that year and said, listen, you're going to work for us like a borrowed mule and you'll get paid what? 50 grand. You're going to do this amount of work and sometimes they even throw more work at you, but guess what? You only got paid 50 grand. And in a straight commission job, guess what happens? You are getting paid what you're worth. I always hated salary. I hated hourly. I never thought of it that way. I always wanted commission jobs. Why? Because when you open up a business, guess what it is? It's commission. Everything in life is a commission. What you do is what you get. And sometimes when you do, you get blessed way beyond than what you did. Trust me. It's crazy. The law of sowing and reaping. What you sow, you shall reap. And sometimes you reap way more than what you sowed. Okay? So tip of the day, do the math. Number one, figure out how much money you need to make. Number two, figure out how much you want to keep. Number three, figure out how you're going to actually multiply it after that. And I recommend, once again, network marketing company.